We have over 200 homes that have some kind of damage, of which probably 30 to 50 of them have water intrusion. 7 have major damage.
After Hurricane Ian passed, Flagler County Emergency Management Director Jonathan Lord says assessors began cataloging damage immediately. Lord says the National Weather Service forecasted 15 inches of rain in Flagler County, and many areas didn't even see that much.
We hit the 15 mark in some spots, and we may have hit 20, but nothing officially recorded showing us hitting 20. The storm came here as a tropical storm. We only really got sustained tropical storm force winds on the coast. We did get at least a couple of gusts up into the 80-mile-an-hour range, up in Marineland at the weather station we have up there. But at this side of the bridges, we did not get sustained tropical storm force winds. So we very much lucked out, which is why we don't have a lot of debris.
Lord says when it came to evacuation orders,
I'm going to be honest, most people ignored it. We only sheltered a couple hundred people. And again, it does not mean other people didn't leave. Our education campaign is to shelter is your last resort. Go to friends, family, hotel, or motel. Based on what we saw the day after the storm, where people were on the island or those areas that got flooded, I think our residents ignored it.
And that concerns him immensely.
I don't want to scare people, but I need to be a realist. What we saw in Southwest Florida can 100% happen here. We are not immune to that. And the perfect example is actually Michael from a couple years ago. There had never been a Category 5 in the Panhandle. So they were very comfortable saying that. We don't get Category 5s. You don't get them until you do get them. So that is something I need to find a better way to double down on and have people truly, truly realize that.
Meanwhile, Flagler County officials are urging residents to stay out of the Atlantic Ocean on Flagler's beaches because of limited access, tons of debris, and potentially high bacteria levels. Yesterday, the Florida Department of Health Flagler took samples of the Atlantic as part of its coastal beach sampling program to test for water quality and specifically bacteria levels. According to Environmental Health Director John Bay, the test results should be in by the end of the week. This local news is a service of Flagler County's Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota US 1 St. Augustine, here to wow you. Flagler Beach officials are looking at next steps after Hurricane Ian all but destroyed 18 miles of dunes.
City Manager William Whitson describes the damage.
There are many places that are compromised along A1A, and safety is a concern and caution is warranted from the public. Many of the dunes went out onto the beach. Those have been eroded back to near A1A, and there are parts of A1A that I'm worried and concerned about the erosion going back even further.
Whitson says they're working with their partners on recovery efforts, and he offered this advice to the public.
I want to encourage people to remember, even though the weather is beautiful, we still had a disaster, and there are still hazards in the water. There's still things you can't see that are out there, like nails and boards along the ocean area. So please be patient with us. Our crews have worked since the storm began and will continue to work all the way until the job is done.
For Flagler's Morning News, I'm Rich Petchke.
Some puppies are in need of help in Flagler County.
Someone has abandoned an adult male dog and several male puppies in the Huntington Village residential area. Flagler County Sheriff Rick Staley.
Deputies with residents rescued these dogs, took them initially to Granada Animal Hospital, and these dogs are now at Paws Abilities Rescue Group. If you would like to adopt one of these dogs, call Paws Abilities Rescue Group or visit their Facebook page, facebook.com, Paws Rescue 1.
If you have any information that could help this case, you can also email tips@flaglersheriff.com.
If you have animals that you no longer can care for whatever reason, instead of abandoning them to get sick and possibly die, bring them to the Flagler Humane Society, where they can be adopted and find a home that can take care of them.
For Flagler's Morning News, I'm Karen Johnson.
If your home has storm damage, how do you know if the contractor you hire is legitimate?
You check them out. That's what Joe Ortiz of Ortiz Roofing says.
It's okay to get it inspected, but before you write a check to anyone, you want to see their credentials.
Ortiz says you could also check them out through the state. Pete Lawrence of Eagle Eye Inspections says that with the number of people who are in Florida now from out of state, you need to use caution when you let somebody work on your house. He said one thing an inspector can do is to determine where your possible water damage came from.
People feel like their roof is falling apart, and it's really not that. It's that it's blowing in from underneath the soffit area or other accesses that it would not normally do that. A lot of times we're able to identify that and give them some help.
Learn said that a repair job might not always be a big job. The Business Report on WNZF is on Saturday mornings at 10 in the morning, and it's on the Flagler radio app anytime you want to listen. Tomorrow, Crossing Over. From the WNZF newsroom, I'm Deb Albertson.
And now you're up to date on Flagler's Morning News. I'm Rich Carroll.